everyone. This is Pooja Mundra. I'm a certified yoga and meditation instructor, and so is my friend Sarita, who is a certified yoga instructor as well. And our mission here is to explore a little bit about yogic history and the ancient wisdom of yoga because we both believe that healing begins from within when we practice yoga authentic and traditional way. Now, all of us are familiar with the asanas and breath work, but it has more become an external thing for us. And both me and her keep discussing about history of yoga and how it has helped us heal. We are going to bring this wisdom and talk a detail about it. So meet my friend Sarita, who brings extensive knowledge of ancient yogic wisdom, loves exploring richness of the traditions around the world, has traveled a lot, and I always love to hear detail and in-depth history. It's quite fascinating to hear from her. So here she is. Let's begin. Okay.
Yes.
So my first question to you, Sarita, tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest in the rich tradition of the world around.
First of all, thank you, Pooja. It's always wonderful to have our open chats, right, where there are no script, no anything that pops up in our mind on our walk. Sometimes we just go talk about everything, including some books and movies, right? So always a
Absolutely.
pleasure. So talking about myself, as you mentioned, I'm also a certified yoga teacher. But above all, I take pride in being a mother of two now adult responsible children, and also a little bit of material world, if I may, is I have been a VP and a director in a high tech world over 33 years now, right? That's what brought me to Austin, Texas. And a couple of things I also enjoy is absolutely, I love to talk to new people, love to cook different kinds of foods. As you said, travel is one of my passions. Paint, sing, and of course, non-stop talk about Vedas and yoga, right? And remember, I said yoga, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
And exactly, I'm going to interrupt right here because I keep saying yoga and Sarita keeps correcting me. It's not yoga, it's yoga, right? Right.
Yes, I will talk about that a little bit later, but you did ask me about the rich traditions of the world as well, right? So, we here in America, we think that the world actually started with when America started, right? But that's not really true. There have been so many different civilizations and communities who have been asking certain questions about human existence and why and what's the purpose and where are we going, and to be honest, no one has a very clear answer yet, right? Just like how yoga or Vedic period in ancient India or Bharat started about 8,000 years ago, right? Even more now, the more and more they're doing the research, they figure out it's even long before
Long.
that,
Hmm.
right? Similarly, in the later periods, Buddhism, Jainism, Maoism, Taoism, um, Bon religion, these are primarily from Asian continent, right? But when you start moving towards the west, then you have the Middle East part where you have Sufism, you have Zoroastrian, right? And then you continue on that path further, you had pagan. I'm not going to call these as religions. These really are ideologies and thought processes, and sometimes a book of guidance and rules to follow for human beings to live their
Hmm.
life in those particular areas happily, right? And then you come to the South America part where there have been what you call them as native Indians or native South Americans. They also really value the Panchatattva or the five elements of the universe, just the way those are followed in Vedic ways of living life or yoga ways of living life. And I
Interesting. Very
love to
interesting.
read and see the differences and the thought processes and also the similarities, right? We all, especially when I went to Peru, I saw how they value Mother Earth. They call it Pachamama. And then they have some symbology, and then they created beautiful art around it, right? But basically, what all it means is our life really is dependent on Mother Earth. And such a simple yet absolutely true. Every second of our life, that fact, right? And then they just
Exactly.
beautifully put it together. So those are some of those things we can definitely keep talking. I love to go on, but
Yeah.
I'll stop right
And
there.
no, that's like, and this is so wonderful. Like I do meet people traveling around the world, but we mostly talk about sceneries and all that stuff. But this is what I like learning from Sarita is like, I had no idea the amount of comparison she shares and she connects all these things. Like we are not stuck on what we grew up with, a preconditioned mind. We are still exploring. And I absolutely love this thing. So, moving on to the next question, what exactly drew you towards yoga? Share
Um,
your passion.
yes, absolutely. And as you know, with the passion, I had this love-hate relationship with yoga, right? I mean, for a month or two, I will just stop doing everything, and I would go into my zone of, oh my God, I got to do something different. And then I again come back to yoga, right? So, what drew me first is it's a very simple thing. My mother told me you are too active, your mind is too active. You rather go and do some yoga, which started like when I was teenager. Maybe I must have been handful of teenagers constantly asking questions and challenging. So it was her way of saying, okay, you know
So
what?
bring that
That will
stillness
calm
in
you
you.
down, right? That definitely helped. That definitely helped. I think I got the focus, but at that time I was not going to sit down and look into, oh, why yoga works this way. I was fully into my college and engineering and, all the right things that we think are the right things, right? Or the
Exactly.
masses think
The
are the
age
right.
appropriate
Exactly, age
things.
appropriate.
Yes.
But after having my first child, my the mind went into full-fledged chaos. Meaning, I would just go from one thing to another without even thinking what I'm doing and why am I doing it and do I need to do it, right? And there came a time where I started telling myself that, Sarita, if you cannot find time to do anything, just do Shavasana. And you won't believe it. One day I started doing Shavasana and I had massive headache. I thought my head is going to split up and I got up. I could not stay there for more than 30 seconds. That's when you know that your mind is so overloaded with all the things that you think you need to go do. And that was my wake up call that, hey, time has come that you're going to dedicate some time towards your yoga practice, learn about it, see why it helps you, see why it is helping everybody else. And that's when I decided to go do my certification course as well. So if it helps me, why not tell others and show others that try it out. It's not, at least it doesn't have any bad impact on you. At least it doesn't have, the side effects of that,
Yeah.
right? So
It's
that's
not stealing anything away from you. It's just
exactly,
adding value to the things you are doing, right? In a
exactly.
more richer way.
Exactly. And the more and more I started reading about it, the more and more I started researching about it, the more and more I started going towards it, right? So, one of the things that is absolutely important is saying the word right way, right? I touched upon that a little bit before. It is yoga, it is not yoga. Now, growing up in India, we all know we were under British Raj for quite a while. And because they could not say or pronounce certain ways, it became yoga. But yoga, it is yoga, not yoga, is the word in Sanskrit means union. And when you say yoga, that becomes of union. So you are basically talking something about the union, right? While you are in the process of uniting body and mind with your breath, through your breath,
Exactly.
right?
So
Then
that's
you're
why,
talking about of that, once you achieve that union, what happens? That is how you will use word yoga. But none of us are there yet, right? And it is basically while describing the practice, or because you do this, then of yoga this happens, is the word yoga. Now I know everybody says that it is easier to say that word because then everybody associates what we are talking about. But if we truly value or respect or believe in that philosophy, then it is our responsibility to use the words right way. We are not going to call bridge, spelling is B-R-I-D-G-E, bridge, and we're not going to call that brigade. So then why are we calling yoga yoga? Right? That is something we need to slowly start changing. And it is our responsibility because it is originated in ancient India. So, and we are Indian folks. So that is why I keep saying it. If we won't change it, no one will.
No one will. So
And
it
if
has
we
to start
continue
from
to
you.
say the wrong things, then everybody will. Right?
Yep.
And yoga
Exactly.
is a philosophy. So what happened in the ancient India times, Veda, which is again not Veda, it's Veda. And even if you have to do the plural of that and you want to anglicize it, then it is Vedas. But one Veda, multiple Veda, not Veda. It is Veda talks about way of life. That is not religion. It is dharma, not dharma, dharma. And dharma means way of life. So Veda books talk about massive knowledge, including the quantum physics, by the way. Today, many quantum physicists actually go open up Veda and read about the suktas such as Nasadiya Sukta and Purusha Sukta to understand what
Yes.
Veda have given the knowledge about how this universe started, where is the creation has been happening and how it might have happened. All those things are written down there, right? And based on that came Shat Darshana. Shat in Sanskrit means six. Darshana meaning something that you see, something that you experience. So it's a philosophy. So there are six philosophies that were based off of Veda. And yoga is one of that. Now, yoga's philosophy is we see this body, we know we have mind because we think, we plan, right? And using that mind and with the hands and the legs, we actually do some actions. But with that, what we forget is the breath, and what we forget is the consciousness. And together, all of that going towards the liberation, meaning finding the truth of who we are, is the yoga philosophy. Of course, there are other five philosophies who are also trying to answer these questions as well. With yoga, what happened is it gave a combination, or rather a book of guidelines, or what to do, what not to do, or a complete practice of body, mind, breath, and then beyond our mind, and putting it all together to find who you are or to go towards the liberation, right? Now, yoga since then has done a super good job of actually showing certain practices of asanas, which is your physical action, right? You know, do the Tadasana or downward dog, or, you know, I'm doing the combination of both English and Sanskrit words so that way people
Yes.
understand what those are, right?
Yeah.
Adhomukha Svanasana is your downward dog. And
Downward dog.
when you actually say those words, again, my focus always has been pronouncing it right away, because you know, you have learned that yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha,
Within it.
right? But if I go and say something wrong, chitta means your mind, your manasa, your consciousness. So your mind plus something up above. And if you mispronounce it, is yoga chitta, Vritti Nirodha,
Hmm.
and Chita in
Changes the
Sanskrit
meaning.
means fire, where you're actually
Yeah.
burning the dead body, right? So that's why we have
Yes.
to be careful. And very kindly, we can tell people it's nothing offensive about correcting someone because you don't want them to say something wrong. See, our thoughts also happen, our speech becomes our action, right? Thoughts into
Hmm.
action become speech, and that's what you're throwing into the universe. You don't want that negative thing coming back to you, right?
Hmm.
So that's why I always say, please, please, at least try. Trying is
So
what we can
mostly
do.
bringing awareness because some of us are not even aware about these things. And I'm sure if not everyone, someone can at least try and correct themselves. As soon as you figure out the meaning changes, that will automatically drive you to and enforce you to say it correctly. Totally
There you go.
makes sense. Yes.
And the top three benefits, if I can summarize with yoga, which drove me even now deeper and deeper into it sometimes, is we all know it has the physical exercise aspect of that everybody loves it. With that, it is not intense on you unless you want to try to do certain yoga asanas, which Mahayogis do, and you have to build your practice towards that. But even if you
Hmm.
don't do that, there are no side effects, and you see the benefits really quickly. Your body becomes flexible, you move in a certain way. There is a brightness on your face. You kind of bring the energy about you, which is beautiful, that you know inside you, and then outward people also accept you. So, those are the quick benefits of the asanas, right? But with that, of course, you know the list of all the things, like you can reduce the blood pressure, your stress goes away. But to do that, we also have to talk about the pranayam practice of it, right? And many a times over here, I see that yoga practice does not focus on pranayam. A typical yoga practice should be first couple of minutes, you just find yourself. Meaning, I come here today, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put everything that I have to do or has been bothering me a little bit away.
So you center yourself, so you're disconnected with that outside world.
Correct.
And once you connect with your body, the real asanas are going to talk to you, to every single
Correct.
cell of your
Correct.
body.
It has,
Hmm.
then the benefit multiplies, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So then you do some warm up asanas, then you do
Hmm.
certain asanas that day you want to do. So you can do a theme, standing ones, bending ones on your back, on your stomach, all those things you can do. And then later on, there has to be 10 minutes dedicated towards pranayama. And then after that, at least 5 minutes you have to absolutely dedicate towards shavasana. People over here forget that.
Yeah, because we think, oh, Shavasana is just resting, just sleep, we'll save some time because again, you're connecting with outside world and you're not justifying things with your body and giving them enough time to recuperate.
Correct, correct. But when you do the practice like that, then you are getting the benefit of calm mind, your mental
Hmm.
clarity. Nowadays,
Hmm.
we do continue to talk about that the mental health is going to just shooting off of the
Escalate,
charts here,
yes,
right?
yes, it
And
is.
even though the technology is trying to figure out how to help that problem, but in fact, it is actually getting worse
Yes.
because we are moving from social media app to social media app, and then going from one action, one activity to another, going from work to cooking to taking care of children to, so
Yeah.
everything is just making your mind go in so many different
It
tangents
has become so worse that even if you're sitting idle, you feel like you're wasting your time. Oh, how come you're sitting just like that?
because we taught ourselves that,
Yeah.
right? And with more and more, we are teaching ourselves that. And that's what needs to stop. And when you do the proper yoga practice of 45 minutes, 1 hour, which includes pranayama and shavasana, then you
Hmm.
are going to find that clarity. You are going to reduce your mental health problems. You're going to sleep better. And when you do all that, your internal organs are going to get healthier,
Yeah.
and you are going to live a healthy life, happy life, which we forget. that our goal of the human life is to find happiness,
Yeah.
right?
It's like the body is learning to do every single job of your day in that yogic mode. And that's where you're half of the stress, because every time you do, I have to do next, and you're not even doing the current work in a present mode. So yoga will teach you that automatically becomes a response of your body
Yeah,
instead of jumping to the next one.
right. Finding that oasis, finding that calm. And when you actually
Hmm.
find that calm, whatever you have to do next, you actually do it better.
Yes,
Right? So with doing yoga, you're creating your better self.
true. Very true. So let me jump on to the next thing. If someone came to you saying, I have tried everything, but I still don't feel at peace, where would an ancient yogi begin? Not with the body, but with the person.
Right. Now, where the ancient yogi would begin is they would say, look inwards, right?
Mhm.
Now, saying is one thing, doing is another thing. And I can tell you that it doesn't come easily. You know what comes easily is maybe popping the pills or finding a solution on Instagram or scrolling the pages of internet. Extremely easy. But calming yourself and looking inside you is difficult.
It's a
But
challenge.
that's where the ancient yogi will say that your mind is acting against you, which what is absolutely necessary for you, you are pushing it away, and what you should
Hmm.
not do, you are focusing on that a lot. So the simple
Hmm.
way to start doing that is you don't have to start go do some pretzel kind of asanas, right? If you actually read the yoga pradipika, in that asanas are not talked about a lot. There are about 7 or 8 asanas only, and which are all about sitting in a comfortable position and keeping your spine straight. Close eyes so that way you can shut the outer world and start looking inside. And only breathe in and breathe out. If you can do that for 30 seconds, then next day 1 minute, then 2 minutes, then 3 minutes, right? And then
Hmm.
slowly you will know that you can actually calm your mind and then move on to the different pranayam and add a asana,
Yes.
right? And then also
Yeah.
start working on shavasana because people think shavasana is easy. It's not. You're not
Hmm.
snoring in it. You are actually alert, but your mind and body is working with your breath,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that's how they would start. And that's many a times I have to go back to the board. So, I remember a story that I read once. One monk, the student monk asked the master monk that, Swamiji, I have done all my work. I have done my asanas, I have done my meditation, I have done my pranayam, but I had too many thoughts today. And Masterji would say, yes, try it tomorrow. And then next day he would try it and say, Masterji, I had a wonderful meditation today. I had a really, really calm mind. And Masterji would say, yes, very good. Try it again today, tomorrow. So he would try it, and he was going back from chaotic mind to the calm mind, chaotic mind to the calm mind. And that's what Master was teaching him, that if you expect yourself to be calm instantly, now because you have been practicing it, it
Right.
doesn't happen that way. You still have to go back to the basics and then focus on that. That's the beauty of it. It's
Yes.
never boring.
Wonderful. So, thank you so much, Sarita, for joining us for this episode of Yoga to Heal. I so much appreciate, and I'm sure all of you, whoever is watching this, must have absorbed some extended knowledge that we talked about here. And you can see how Sarita is well versed with all these things. If you have any comments, please share and forward it to someone who will benefit with it, and we'll make sure to answer all of your questions. Thank you again for joining us.
Namaste.
Thank you, Sarita. Namaste.